2 weeks ago, North Dakota State rolled to a victory over Cal Poly, flexing its muscle as an FCS power. Today, a blast from the past as North Alabama swaggers into Fargo after opening the season with a pair of road wins in its first season in Division I. It's the Bison and the Lions coming up next.
Get your horns out! Yeah, you can hear the herd coming, baby, like it or not. We've been waiting while tailgating in the parking lot. Now that clock is ticking down, the boys are ready to go. The energy in here's electric. Let's get on with the show. Get your horns up. The green and gold are back in town. Get your horns up. Pumped up and ready to throw down. Toss that coin up in the air. Bring them boys up to the line. Hold your horns up high because it's Bison time.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Fargo Dome here in Fargo, North Dakota for FCS football here on the KBOI, KFYR Bison Television Network. North Dakota State, #1 in the country, taking on an old friend from the Division II days in North Alabama. Thanks so much for joining us here this afternoon. Brian, Sean, Lee Timmerman with you. And LT, North Dakota State rolling in their opener against Cal Poly. Now you got to take a week off and come back. That bye week probably didn't come in an ideal time for NDSU.
No, it's a real strange to have your bye come in week number 2, but as Coach Kleiman says, there's nothing we can do about it. In a perfect world, that bye would come after the game against Delaware, right before you play South Dakota State in the opener. That's not the case. It's 10 weeks in a row.
And for North Alabama, we had mentioned a Division II program that is in the first year of transitioning to Division I. Obviously a very tall task taking on North Dakota State here, but this is a program that has some tradition and history.
It's a winning tradition. Coach Messingham said that in our conversation today, and that's one of the biggest things that North Alabama has going for it in the transition. The other thing is money. They are fully funded right off the bat with 63 scholarships.
And for North Dakota State, they didn't really have to use the passing game very much just because they ran the ball so efficiently and so effectively, rushing for over 450 yards against the Mustangs in the opener. But an opportunity maybe for us to see some new receivers make some plays. Desmond Kane did not play in the first game, and maybe our first look at Christian Watson as well.
It'll be interesting to see how Christian Watson, if he can get downfield. Kenneth Chanel, a guy you haven't heard of, he might play today as well.
North Dakota State and North Alabama getting set to kick off here in the second game for the Bison and the third straight road game here to open for North Alabama. We talked about a transitioning Division II to Division I program. The first time since 1959 the Lions have had to open with 3 straight road games, but welcome to life as a Division I transitioning program.
Yeah, when you're having to play an independent schedule, you take the games you can get. Division II games at home, FCS games on the road. That's just the way it's going to be for a few years for Coach Willis and his program.
Yeah, that is a head coach, Chris Willis, 7-5, second season as head coach, but 17 years in this program. Had a lot of good things to say about North Dakota State and also including LT, that NDSU may have the best offensive line I have ever laid eyes on in my life, and that this is the best program and best team we have ever played in the history of UNA.
Yeah, Coach Willis said multiple times this week in interviews that we heard and some stuff you read in the paper where he said, we completely understand what's coming on Saturday.
Meanwhile, the Bison, after playing so well in the opener here at home against Cal Poly, a 49-3 victory, and really the Bison dominated all 3 phases of that game from start to finish. Had the early bye week, so 10 straight weeks here for North Dakota State, kicking off here with North Alabama, and it's time for another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed. Cam Peterson on to boot this one away. And taking at his own goal line is Jamal Jackson. He will call for
fair catch.
A fair catch. So UNI will start at the 25-yard line. Let's take a look at the starting quarterback for North Alabama. That is Christian Lopez. Did not join the program till July. A transfer from a junior college, was one of the top junior college passers in terms of touchdown passes last year.
33. Yep.
33 touchdown passes. Originally walked out at UNLV, kind of bounced around, and has really been a difference maker here in his first couple of weeks. Lopez has time, airing it out downfield, open receiver. A bit underthrown and incomplete. James Hendricks in on that coverage. Cortez Hall, the intended target for Northern Iowa, so airing it out right away. Let's look at the North Dakota State starting lineup, brought to you by Shields.
Caleb Butler, Blake Williams, Michigan.
Aaron Steidel, Carlos, Minnesota.
Greg Menard, Lakeville, Minnesota.
Levi Jordan, Dickinson, North Dakota.
Dan Marlette, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Jabril Cox, Kansas City, Missouri.
Jalen Allison, Papillion, Nebraska.
Rob Grimsley, Hutchinson, Minnesota. James Hendricks, Bemidji, Minnesota.
Marquise Bridges, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And a sack as North Dakota State brought pressure in. Cole Karch got in there.
Usually Lopez likes to escape to his arm side. This time he rolls out away from his throwing arm. That's because there was a linebacker and the safety Grimsley coming right at him.
Let's take a look at the Northern Alabama offense. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields. The receivers very young but very good. Dexter Boykin and Jacoby Bird have been real impact guys. Lopez we talked about. The offensive line are going to have their work cut out for them today as flags come in, and Menard blindsided Lopez, who was still down. He did not hear the whistle, and Lopez took a huge shot.
This will be a personal foul penalty against Menard, but he did not hear the whistle, did not stop. Lopez did not see him. That is not a good combo if you're the quarterback.
Offense, number 51, 5-yard penalty. Also dead ball, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 96. That 15-yard penalty will also be enforced. Automatic first down.
So an automatic first down here for North Alabama.
Yeah, you can see it there in the Nodak Insurance Company replay. Lopez stopped, Menard did not. That's an unfortunate shot that Lopez, who's playing with that deep bone bruise, has to deal with today, but that is the first down for the Lions.
So instead of 3rd and long, a 1st and 10 at the 26 here for the Lions. First running play of the day, and a little bit of room for Damon Cox, a 5'10 senior out of Germantown, Tennessee. And he is close to a first down, about a yard short, up to the 35.
Nodak Insurance Company replay coming right at you. Levi Jordan gets taken on by the big, and I mean big center. Look at how big that man is. He's able to sidestep him and almost get the first.
Cox again, this time stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Loman McCormick got in there. And he is short of a first down.
Marlette stacking things up from his middle linebacker position, getting some help, obviously, with that defensive front. The offensive line for North Alabama, they have some size. You can see that. But athletic-wise, they will not be able to compare to the athleticism that NDSU's defensive line has. So that is one of the things the Lions today are going to have to try to overcome.
3rd and 1. Hall in motion. Lopez is going to keep it. Diving ahead, and he's short. I think it was Marlette. That was the first man there again, coming off a spectacular game against Cal Poly.
ISO on Lopez, trying to get to that corner, and well, you know, you make the thing that you'll really like to see about that from Dan Marlette on that replay is how fast he got there. Well, you get there fast because your first read is correct, and you believe what your eyes are telling you. And he just fired through that hole and forced the punt. Excellent job by the middle linebacker.
So on for the punt is Joe Gurley. And Darius Shepard will call for the fair catch at the 30-yard line. The Bison offense getting set to take the field, led by senior quarterback Easton Stick. Tremendous career this young man has had. 35-3 as a starter. This brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. And as we mentioned in the pregame show, named to the All-States AFCA Good Works team, one of 22 collegiate players nationally for his work off the field. Was surprised with that honor at Sanford just a couple of days ago.
Randy Hedberg said one way you measure character is by what people do when you are not watching. And that's why Easton Stick got that award.
Play action for Stick. Fires a little bit short. Incomplete, looking for Darius Shepard. Let's take a look at the Bison offense. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields.
Easton Stick, Omaha, Nebraska.
Dylan Radens, Becker, Minnesota. Colin Connor, Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Tanner Volson, Belfort, North Dakota.
Luke Bacon, Granville, North Dakota.
Zach Johnson, Blaine, Minnesota.
Ben Ellefson, Hawley, Minnesota.
Brock Robbins, Cavalier, North Dakota.
Bruce Anderson, Tampa, Florida. Dallas Freeman, St. Michael, Minnesota.
Darius Shepard, Blue Springs, Missouri.
Just a couple of yards that time for Bruce Anderson up to the 32. So a 3rd and long coming up for the Bison. And Anderson running wild in the opener, including an 86-yard touchdown run against Cal Poly. 11 carries, 185 overall in a game that the Bison offense averaged 11 yards nearly per carry in that game.
Yeah, that 86-yard will be interesting to see if that thing gets topped this year. I don't know if it'll be fun if it does.
Bison 3 receivers to the near side. Now Anderson motioning across the formation. Stick airing it out into double coverage, and somehow Darius Shepard, I thought he hung on to it. It was jarred loose at the last moment that time by A.J. Bracey, a Jones County Community College transfer. And a 3-and-out for the Bison on its opening possession.
Bracey had a little help there from K.J. Smith, redshirt sophomore. Nodak Insurance Company replay, long throw. Shepard almost able to hold on. He would have been, I think, a little short anyway.
Garrett Wegner on for his first punt, and Wegner, nice high deep spiral. No fair catch called for, and hit immediately after making the catch is Dwayne Smith, sophomore out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Special teams coverage units pretty good for NDSU in the opener, and a good start here. We'll step aside, 11:05 to go. We're scoreless on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. North Alabama back on the field for its second possession from its own 20-yard line. Christian Lopez has attempted one pass, has not.
I like how aggressive. I like how aggressive they were, though, on that first pass of the day.
And they'll go to the ground. Boy, no room. Bison just swallowing things up. Levi Jordheim led the charge. Aaron Steidel in there once again as Cox goes for no gain. May have missed a yard.
Aaron Steidel's name is the key one there. Did you see how quick he got into that backfield? Steidel, the senior, playing that nose guard position. When you beat an A-gap that fast and disrupt that quickly, it is going to be difficult to run. And Jordheim was clean too, so nobody in his path.
Lopez drops, and the receiver and the quarterback not on the same page. Cortez Hall ran a stop route, and the ball sailed out to the 50-yard line, so a 3rd and long coming up once again for the Lions.
Yeah, both the receiver and the quarterback are making a read. They're trying to read where the safety is and what type of coverage the corner is giving. And obviously those two guys were not on the same page in that particular thing. Quarterback saw the go. The receiver said, nope, I'm going to try to sit down right here at about 10-yard mark.
So Spencer Wagee, the redshirt freshman, will check in at defensive tackle here on 3rd and long with Cole Karch. This is the luxury NDSU has with so many defensive linemen that can play. Lopez under pressure, gets rid of it, incomplete. Intended target was Dexter Boykin. And a 3-and-out for UNA.
Another really solid speed rush from the high side guy. As we look at it, that's Greg Menard. He's Nodak Insurance Company replay. This is Allison coming in to try to close on the ball and get a hand on that to knock it away.
Maybe a catch Boykin should have made. Lopez did a pretty good job getting it there with bodies all around them. So here comes Gurley and a high punt. And the ball is loose, and North Dakota State has it at the 1-yard line. A big special teams miscue here early for North Alabama.
When you're the big underdog, what's the one thing you cannot do? You cannot make mistakes and allow the home team to get things rolling early. Here's the snap. It's going to go high. He does a pretty good job just to get a hand on it, but 4 Bison players around it. I think James Hendricks, was that he the first one there?
There was 4 different NDSU players.
I think Hendricks came up with it, and now it's first and goal from the 3.
Lance Dunn at tailback. Stick out of the shotgun here on first and goal. And it's done. Lunging towards the end zone. No call yet from the official, now saying down at about the half-yard line.
We've become so used to every time he touches the ball from that position to score a touchdown. He has so many touchdowns, but that one he didn't get in, about 6 inches or so short.
6 carries and 3 touchdown runs in the opener against Cal Poly. Of course, Dunn had 12 touchdown runs in the first half of the season before a hip injury.
Here's the backside of that. Dunn just a little bit short. Bison will punch it in.
Brock Robbins into the backfield. Anderson leaves his feet, touchdown. The beef with Malmstrom and Robbins leading the way.
Colin Connor got a really nice down block on that with the help from the center, Volson.
So the Bison quickly capitalize on the turnover from North Alabama and grab a 6-0 lead with the extra point pending. Peterson able to knock that through, and we will step aside as North Dakota State has grabbed a 7-0 lead, 9:33 to go, as Anderson plunges in again, his 3rd touchdown of the season. Show your Bison pride today with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecitybank.com/mycard. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC. Cam Peterson on for another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff.
Stairway to 7. I like the sign.
How about the Brooks and Dunn sign?
That's a good one.
End zone. That's not bad either.
Ram Tough was a good one.
Jamal Jackson again from his own goal line. This time he'll bring it out. Hole closes quickly. Excellent special teams tackling for North Dakota State once again. The Bison have been really strong in coverage here to open the season as Adam Cofield makes that stop. Cofield carried the ball a handful of times.
Isolation look at Jackson. He's trying to, right there, he thinks he can squeeze it to the outside, but he cannot squeeze it to the outside. Cofield's on the inside. Josh Hayes is the protect guy on the wide side. They take care of him all the way at the 17.
This North Alabama offense, 554 yards in the opener against Southern Utah. Lopez threw for 350 and ran for 100 more. Play action here. Cox on the rush, and this ball is underthrown incomplete. Cortez Hall was open, but again, Lopez unable to really step into that throw and took another shot at the end from Cox.
Well, I believe it's his left knee, so his plant knee. I don't know how much he trusts that being sore, but yeah, you can't step into it when number 42 is coming down on you that fast. We've seen Greg Menard just on speed rushes. He's been beating Devin McAllister, number 77, the left tackle, but there, number 42, Jabril Cox, untouched on the blitz.
Cox, the Missouri Valley Freshman of the Year last year, ended up leading the team in tackles. Pressure coming again. Lopez hit low, airs it out towards the sideline, out of bounds, and Blake Williams will help Lopez up. And the defensive tackles in particular, LT, having a lot of success early in getting a push.
Well, the defensive ends are too, because Derek Tuska was right there with them. But yeah, the speed off the ball, that's one thing you can tell this offensive line is not able to handle, and that'll be a difficult thing to try to survive throughout the course of the afternoon. But it's also one of the reasons why this Bison defense is as good as it is. Those defensive linemen are good. They're fast, and there's a lot of them.
The Bison bring in Jalen Wimbush here for the nickel package on 3rd and long. More pressure coming. Lopez again buried underneath. Take your pick. A few different guys got there. Cole Karch once again at the bottom of the pile.
Well, again, Lopez not being able to move as well as he would like and his team would like. So if you're going to try to do, there's a little bit out of a gun, but a 5-step drop timing-wise, it's not going to work. It is simply not going to work for North Alabama. So unless they go to some shorter stuff in the passing route, I don't know how long Lopez is going to last.
North Alabama, 3 possessions, minus 23 in yardage so far. Nice high punt from Gurley. Shepard got hit by his own man. It was kind of blocked into him, but Shepard hanging on for the fair catch at the 48.
I think that was James Hendricks trying to make a block, and he got pushed on pretty hard there by Will Evans, number 44. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Here you see it. There's 44 and 6. 6 goes backwards. The Hendricks knocks into his own man. Clean catch, though.
From 6:30 to 8, we'll recap the previous game and break down the week ahead. The Bison Football Radio Show with head coach Chris Kleiman, hosted by Jeff Goulet. Monday from 6:30 to 8 on Bison 1660.
Stick out of the shotgun here to open up this series inside UNA territory. Quick drop, dropping it off for Dunn, who gets inside the 40 down to the 38-yard line. Pickup of 11 and good enough for a first down. Let's take a look at the North Alabama defense. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields. Pretty young group, not very deep, especially on the defensive line. The real guy to watch is Christian Taylor, who was first team All Gulf South as a freshman, played as a true freshman, had a handful of Division I offers, but came with a couple of teammates from high school to North Alabama.
Also, Jalen Daly, number 7, in street clothes today. He's not able to go. He has an MCL strain in his knee.
So starting in his place is Marcus Robinson, who plays both sides of the ball. Not as much room this time for Dunn, and a fumble. And I think North Alabama's got it at about the 40-yard line. And indeed they do.
One of the very good defensive ends. We mentioned Daly not playing. Well, Maurice Burton Jr., a senior out of Chicago, he had a forced fumble against A&M in the 4th quarter that helped that comeback. Here he picks up the fumble.
There's a look as Burton strips Dunn. And a turnover for North Dakota State. We're back in a minute.
Take a selfie and then post it to Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag OTFGameDay. And your post may appear on the NDSU tank.
So North Alabama, after the Bison turnover, starting at the 39-yard line. This ball is batted up, and it is, I think, caught for a moment. Was it brought in?
No, it was caught. I think Knowles, the right guard, is the one who caught it. Was the junior from Fayette, Alabama.
Ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
See it knocked into the air, and it'll come down, and the right guard. And oh, it did bounce out of there. But he did get it back. So they're going to get the yards on a completed, well, off the deflection.
Stanley Jones, the Bison player that got his hands up. 8-yard gain. North Alabama will take it.
Movement left tackle.
Devin McAllister.
Ball start. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty.
Interestingly enough, played his college ball to start just down the road here in Wahpeton at the North Dakota State College of Science. So homecoming of sorts for him, originally out of Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Makes it 2nd and 7 for the Lions from the 42-yard line.
Let's take a look at the Bobcat game recap. A couple of early miscues for each team. The high snap on North Alabama led to the 7 NDSU points, and then Lance Dunn, a fumble in UNA territory, turned it over. Handoff inside. Good tough running that time in between the tackles for Terrence Humphrey, junior running back out of Huntsville. Just a hair short of a first down. Going to be 3rd and less than a yard.
Humphrey not listed on the 2 deep, but also has played a big role in those first couple of wins, averaging double figures in terms of his yards per carry, and he came up pretty close to double figures on that one.
Jacob Terry, the fullback, pretty good job in the middle there on the block of the middle linebacker.
Watch the quarterback slap his hands. That's the snap count.
Hand it off again, nowhere to go, but keeping the feet moving. That time was Humphrey, and I think he's got enough for a first down on the 3rd effort. Nice job by number 21, not going to the turf.
Nodak Insurance Company rebate play. He's pinballed around here. About 4 different Bison players get a chance to whack on him, but he was able to keep the momentum going. His back turn still going upfield and picking up the first down. Good hard run by the junior.
Humphrey again gets what he can before he is finished off by Derek Tuska. Jack Darnell also getting on that tackle with Robbie Grimsley.
Well, Grimsley must have some pretty good pre-snap reads because he's the safety, but he's really flying down. I mean, he came down hard into the box to go against the run because as a team they must have red run. Grimsley was able to get down in it. Nodak Insurance Company replay. You'll see him. There's Robbie coming right at you. So he goes right in, gets a nice little hit. But he came about 10 yards down right before the snap.
Comes a corner blitz. And Lopez gets rid of it before he gets decked again. And Derek Tuska this time putting the hit on as Jalen Allison came in on the blitz as well. And Tuska got a pretty good shot on him.
Well, we talked about the bruise that on the knee. But Lopez is going to have bruises all over him before this game's over. Derek Tuska with a pretty good whack, and a corner blitz was coming right at him. He actually made the hot read. He saw the corner coming, so you look to where the blitz is coming from because there has to be a space open. Lopez just didn't have time to put an accurate throw to the right side. Well, look at how low Grimsley's playing, though, on pre-snap in there.
Pressure coming again. And this ball is just out of the reach of Cortez Hall, and 3 different Bison players getting in there to put another shot on Lopez, who is just getting hammered here so far. Dan Marlette was one of the first guys there, and I think one of the offensive linemen, Cole Hardin, a transfer from Vanderbilt, limping off.
Yeah, Hardin, who did get rolled up on.
Deep to receive for North Dakota State.
Cole Hardin is an interesting thing. You talked about him being at Vanderbilt. He played 3 years there. He was on a scooter and got hit by a car. And so that injury kind of bounced him off of the opportunity to play at Vanderbilt. And then for his senior season, transferred back home to Florence. But wow, hit by a car.
Similar situation happened at North Dakota State a few years ago. Josh Colville, an offensive lineman, got hit by a car on a scooter. Gurley angling this one towards the sideline. Robbie Grimsley near side at the 15 makes the fair catch. Bison offense have not really been able to get in any sort of rhythm so far here to start. Buying, building, or refinancing, start with a Gate City Bank Blue Standard pre-approval and experience a better home loan. Get started today at GateCityBank.com for a better way of life. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Well, the Bison fans have had a lot to cheer about the way the defense is playing, but kind of a ho-hum start, I would say, for the offense to this point. We'll see if the Bison can get it rolling here.
To the ground game, bouncing it out this time is Ty Brooks. Brooks across the 40, puts on the brakes and scoots around a couple of defenders all the way up to the 42-yard line.
Every time Ty Brooks gets it, there is a potential for a play like this. He takes it around the right end, and he's thinking, okay, I'm going to see if I can work off the one downfield block. If I can spin and keep my feet and keep on going and maybe up the field. But Ty Brooks can really explode on the ground. Flat out speed. He has it.
Chris Johnson, the safety, making the tackle for North Alabama. Biggest play of the day for NDSU. Stick dropping it off, and this one is caught by Brock Robbins. He's able to get what he can to midfield. Gain of 8. Robbins a couple of carries with the football in the opener. I gave Brock a little bit of grief after the game. I said, what's it feel like to carry the football? He's kind of rolled his eyes. It's been a while since his days at Cavalier up in the high school ranks.
Those couple of carries may have had more to do with just getting it on tape, showing the rest of the conference that, yes, we're going to run our fullback a little bit, and maybe you should prepare for it.
Anderson, tough running. Finally turned back by a couple of different, oh, he broke free, but the whistle had blown. And a little bit extracurricular that time as a Monfo came in for UNA to try to strip it. It is enough for a first down to the 45-yard line.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Here's Bruce right up the middle, squeezing between a couple of blocks there. Gets both legs picked up off the ground, squared back up. He keeps going, and at this point, the whistle had already blown before Anderson is able to pop free from there.
Brady Owensby, backup defensive tackle, was the one able to hold him up just enough. Stick dropping it off. Boy, nicely read, nicely played that time by Christian Taylor. Leading tackler for North Alabama. That's a loss of 2.
Christian Taylor is battling a little bit of an ankle, but he's one of the kids that when you watch tape, you notice him. I mean, he plays in the middle, plays with real good speed. There was a little bit of a blitz route or a hot read from Stick. He dropped it off. But then by the same time, you saw that Taylor read that, scooted to the outside before the play could go upfield.
Taylor started 8 games as a true freshman out of Hoover, Alabama. Boy, and this one not going anywhere as well. Good penetration once again. Broderick Martin getting in this time. Another loss on the play. Back to the 49 of NDSU.
Loss of 3 on the play brings him 3rd and 15 for North Dakota State.
I think he just made the read off the pull guy. It's like, hey, the guy in front of me is pulling. I'm going to get right in his back pocket as fast as possible and then catch the play from behind before it had an opportunity to even get rolling. Nice job right there and a good read.
3rd and long here for the Bison. Stick, plenty of protection. Across the middle, and this ball is tipped and incomplete. Nice play by Johnson coming on to break that one up. Darius Shepard, the intended target. Another punting situation for NDSU.
Well, number 13, Chris Johnson. He's a senior from Birmingham, and he is a guy, you'll see him right here, moving here to make the play. He is a guy that the NFL scouts know all about. We've been told all the NFL teams have already been down there. They've been looking at him. They've been talking with him. And when when the NFL is coming to take a look at you, you know you have pretty good skills.
Well, not only 6'3", 200, but he is the fastest man on the team. As this punt bounces into the end zone for a touchback, and North Alabama will start at its own 20-yard line.
1st and 10, North Alabama. Bison fans, stop by the northeast corner of the Fargo Dome and register for your chance.
That was a nice job by the Lions defense on that possession, I thought.
Gate City Bank. Gate City Bank. For a better way of life. Member FDIC.
Let's take a look at your North Dakota Soybean Council fun fact. Edamame is a variety of soybean. These large soybeans are harvested when still green and sweet. They can be served as a snack or a main vegetable dish. They are high in protein and contain, get this LT, no cholesterol.
Means it's good for you, right?
Yeah, eat them.
Here come the backers again.
Was sidestepping one man that time. was Cox, and he's able to get about 4 yards up to the 24.
Dan Marlette on a blitz from the middle once again, but he was just turned. They were just able to get a nibble on his shoulder, turn him away from the play just a little bit. But those Bison linebackers, and especially Marlette, have been very active. Cox has been in there on a couple of blitzes. Levi Jortheim as well, but the Bison for the nickel. No, the Cox is out there. I thought it was a nickel package now. But it's Cox playing in that nickel spot.
Inside handoff again, and more room this time for Cox, who has a first down to the 30-yard line. Robbie Grimsley another tackle. So some success in the running game here, LT.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Levi Jortheim gets taken care of. And then Marlette is unable to come across to make the tackle immediately. Your basic kind of RPO, run pass option offense. Similar to me, even though we haven't seen Southern Illinois in a couple of years, to me, similar to the way Southern Illinois plays offense.
This time Lopez will throw and caught with essentially one hand this time by Cortez Hall, working on Jalen Allison out of bounds at the 40-yard line, gain of 9. Time ticking down here at the end of the first quarter. Maybe our final play, likely is, as North Dakota State leads at 7-0, but North Alabama showing some fight here through the first 15 minutes, weathering the storm in just the 4th ever indoor game this program has played in, and the first since 2011. It's 7-0 NDSU after 1 quarter on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, Gate City Bank home loans are locally approved, financed, and serviced. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Second and short for North Alabama from the 39. Pitched ahead to Andre Little, another redshirt freshman receiver out of Anchorage, Alaska. Tackled that time by Marquise Bridges, but it's enough for a first down up to the 47-yard line.
Yeah, the majority of the players from the program from the state of Alabama, but he's from the farthest one away.
Let's go down to Ryan Gellner.
Hi guys, during that last time out, Bison defensive coach was really stressing to the defense, in particular the defensive ends. Nick Gazer said, you are the group that we cannot block. They cannot block us. You got to continue to hit the quarterback, but play smart, guys.
Thanks much, Ryan. First International Bank and Trust sideline report. And Lopez that time sailing one out of bounds, not seeing what he likes that time, and seeing more pressure in the backfield.
One of the few times that Lopez didn't end up on the ground, but he was actually throwing into double coverage as well. So if that ball is in a catchable position for his receiver, it's also in a position to be intercepted by Robbie Grimsley, who was overplaying that half of the field from his safety spot. It's probably a good thing that it sailed.
North Alabama able to at least move the ball here and get a couple of first downs. Delayed handoff. Boy, nifty run, a nifty move this time by Damon Cox. He's inside Bison territory, finally forced out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Looked like NDSU had a couple of clean shots at the senior running back, and he was able to dart outside and pick up a nice gain.
Watch Levi Jortheim. He's going to think right here, I've got him. The head dips, and the running back goes to the outside and picks up the first down. That is an exceptional move there by the senior.
Lopez dropping it off. Cox forced out of bounds by Grimsley. Minimal gain. Actually, no gain. Just back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. We talked about it, LT, but the offensive coordinator for North Alabama is just 27 years old in his 3rd game calling essentially a contest. Yeah, the 2-time Sun Belt quarterback offensive player of the year.
Yeah, Ryan Alpine is his name. He's, as you mentioned, 27. He played at Arkansas State, player of the year. He was a wide receiver coach at Chattanooga, came back to have the opportunity to call plays.
Lopez fires out in the flat, caught. What a catch that time by Dexter Boykin. He's got enough for a first down to the 24. But they're going to say offensive pass interference, I believe, was the signal from the back judge.
Well, let's see here on the Nodak Insurance Company replay if Boykin pushes off. Oh, yeah, he does. Well, and a little payback, too, it looks like by Bridges. Looks like a little hand fighting on both sides, but he got both arms inside, pushed off. But, boy, that negates a tremendous catch. Again, this wide receiver group, it's the best position group that the Lions have, and almost all of them redshirted last year.
Field judge Jen Berkey throwing the flag that time. So that negates a first down and certainly would have put North Alabama in pretty good shape. Now backed up to their own to the 50-yard line.
What was one of the reasons why those wide receivers all redshirted last year? Well, because North Alabama went through quarterbacks. Their top three quarterbacks all got hurt. They had a kid wearing number 33 being the quarterback at the end of the year. So they just decided this quarterback situation's not working. We're going to make the transition, and we're going to keep a year of eligibility on all these good young wide receivers that they have.
Lopez stepping out of the pocket, fires, caught, squeezing it into a window. And it's Andre Little making the reception. 19 yards on the pickup to the 31.
This is what Lopez really did well in the opener in the win at Southern Utah. He was able to move with his feet to gain his receivers an opportunity to get about 5 or 6 more steps to get open. So it was Lopez moving with his feet, so his knee must be feeling a little bit better, and then putting that ball right in the window. That was a solid play.
Jalen Allison, I think, was eyeing an interception that time, went up for the football, and cutting underneath was Little. So 3rd and 6. Pressure coming again. Lopez sacked. Aaron Steidel back at the 37.
Steidel playing in his 46th game for the Bison. The senior from Minnesota, coming right up the middle, really good. There's just nothing fancy with that. That's an I'm better than you are type of a situation.
And that knocks North Alabama out of any hope of really a field goal attempt. From here, you're looking at about 54 yards, so here comes Gurley on to punt.
Number 5, Robbie Grimsley, the receiver for the Bison.
And Carrera's career long is 39 yards. End over end. Ball bounces at the 2-yard line, and an opportunity that time for DeAndre Hart to try to pin the Bison deep. But it rolls into the end zone, and NDSU will have it at the 20-yard line when we come back. It's 7-0, 11:19 to go in the second quarter from Fargo. North Dakota State starting this drive from its own 20-yard line, leading 7-0. Only 50 yards of total offense here in the first half for the Bison so far. Stick dropping it off, caught by Robbins. Stiff arms a man, pushed out of bounds by Amonfo after a gain of about 5 yards to the 25. Maybe 6 yards up to the 26 from where he's marked out.
Little more pre-snap movement from NDSU there. You saw Shepard working his way back to the high side of the field before the play to the near side. Now Bison didn't think they would use a lot of shift trade motion because the front 4 or 3 from North Alabama sometimes will jump a bunch of gaps.
Back to power. Anderson has not been able to really bust one yet. Gains a couple of yards to the 28, 3rd and short coming up.
Tell you, the interior guys for North Alabama so far holding up a little bit better than I thought they'd be able to. Nodak Insurance Company replay. See Luke Bacon there.
Brings it 3rd and 2.
See Aquarian Harris on the bottom of that pile. 317 pounds. They got some beef in the middle. Not easy to move, and NDSU so far just 0 of 2 on 3rd down today. Stick. Airing it out. Dallas Freeman is all by himself. Inside the 30, carrying tacklers inside the 20 to the 17-yard line.
Stick's pass is complete to number 83, Dallas Freeman. On the reception, that's another Bison.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. You make the read on the safety. The safety sucks into the middle. That was Hart, who brought to play middle-high safety. Stick sees where the safety moves. Freeman breaks free. There's nobody else to guard him. Able to get downfield.
54 yards on the connection between Stick and Freeman. And just like that, NDSU flips the field.
That's where Stick had his eyes right. He was reading the right man. Down to 1 on the play clock.
First time out for NDSU. 9:29 to go.
That was where that long pass, that was where pre-snap movement. Watch this guy right there. Pre-snap movement for number 22. He's out of the field of vision for Stick. He knows the safety's not there, and then he has to depend on where the cornerback is doing. The corner sucks to the wide guy. The release, nobody there.
DeAndre Hart, Jamal Jackson finally dragging Freeman down.
Real good job by the Bison there to put a defender in conflict. Force a defensive player to have to choose, and whatever he chooses, the offense, if you have time, you do the opposite.
A good pass protection that time as well for Stick, who had plenty of time to survey things.
And there was also a blitz on the play too, so there was one less guy back there.
Stick play action. Shepard makes the reception, stays on his feet. Shepard! I think he's got it. Touchdown!
Well, the Bison picked on the safety Hart. This time they get Johnson. Number 13, Chris Johnson, comes up. He's late on the play. And then the nice thing here is watch Shepard be able to absorb the first blow, no wrap up, dive in inside the pylon. Touchdown NDSU, their second score of the day.
The first touchdown reception for Darius Shepard since Frisco, Texas last January. Had a big one against James Madison in the title game.
There's a replay. Now, all scoring plays, all turnovers, everything is being reviewed. So it's not necessarily that they saw anything, but it's just going to take time. It's a standard practice in Division I football that all touchdowns are being reviewed. So this is an opportunity to take a little bit more time to see if Shepard was able to stay in bounds when he lunged toward the pylon. I certainly thought he did on game action. This, I believe, will stand.
Well, interestingly enough for Darius Shepard, with the bye week, he was able to go back to his hometown, and he surprised his sister to walk her out on homecoming.
Cool.
Did not know he was coming. Said she was super excited. It was a big moment for the family.
This should be a pretty good replay of it. The catch by Shepard. There's the blow he absorbs. Right foot stays in. He lunges. Touchdown.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
So Darius Shepard, the second team All-Valley preseason pick, puts the Bison ahead 13-0.
That's pretty neat. He's able to sneak back home to Missouri and be a part of that.
Said his family's able to make it up to a majority of the games this year. As Peterson adds the extra point.
And Cam is becoming really close to Adam Keller's all-time record for most PATs made.
Trails them by just 2 after that boot. 9:20 to go in the second quarter. Nice stretch by Shepard. Show your Bison pride today with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecitybank.com/mycard. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life, FDIC. Cam Peterson on for another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. North Dakota State leading 14-0. 9:20 to go here in the second quarter from the Fargo Dome. Peterson boots this one into the end zone, and UNA will start at the 25-yard line. Let's take a look at the Bobcat scoring recap. Bison moved down the field quickly. 4 plays and just 80 yards and just 159. Of course, the big connection from stick to Dallas Freeman for 54 yards on the blown coverage. And Darius Shepard in for his first touchdown of 2018. Christian Lopez hanging in there. He's been hit a lot. 5 of 13, 43 yards so far here this afternoon. Quick little screen play as Jabril Cox comes in from the backside to take him down after a gain of 5. Andre Little once again making the reception.
One of the things that you're designed to try to slow down a defensive line that's coming at you so hard. Run a little bubble that way.
Tell you what, this receiver group from North Alabama is going to be a group to watch in the future, LT. All these redshirt freshmen have already made a lot of plays in their first handful of games at the collegiate level. Nice read that time by Derek Tuska taking down Cox. He's up to the 33, 3rd and 2 coming up.
Nodak Insurance Company replay, making the read. Tuska's just waiting there to see what the quarterback does. Hand off, then he makes a close on it. But the Lions did get themselves in an opportunity to have a 3rd and short. So very good job there of managing the first down marker.
North Alabama just 1 of 6 on 3rd down today, and they quickly get up to the line. And somebody moved for North Alabama on that left side.
Blake Williams certainly thinks it was the right guard.
Noah Stern. Looked like he was leaning, number 74.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty remains 3rd down.
You can see how Williams was able to pick that up off of the division off to his right, because that was not the guy that Blake was. Here's the guy that moves. Here's the guy that sees it.
So 3rd and 2 now goes to 3rd and 7. Fargo Dome crowd comes to life.
What a massive difference in that 3rd and short.
Bison bring a bunch. Lopez buried again. Dan Marlette got in there. Stanley Jones was the one that made the sack. And once again, Lopez buried.
Real interesting what the Bison did there. They looped both of the linebackers. Both Cox and Marlette were looping to their left with some slants down inside. And then the quarterback just gets bashed. Here's Cole Karch coming in, getting a hand on him. Stanley Jones is there. But that was a different look.
4 sacks already today for North Dakota State, and Shepard have a chance to return this one from the 30. Shepard dragged down at about the 39-yard line, so NDSU in pretty good shape here, leading 14-0, 7 minutes to go. Let's go down to the sidelines with Ryan Gellner.
Hey guys, a couple of scores from across the valley. Youngstown State, hey, we've seen this before. A couple of sideline warnings for Youngstown State. The last one on Bo Pelini for arguing with a referee, but it looks like Youngstown will get their first win of the year. They lead 35-7. You see Missouri State up 10-6 on Northern Arizona. And Western Illinois at home, they lead Montana 14-7. Some bad news for North Alabama, who trails this football game 14-0. One of their top wide receivers, guys, Dexter Boykin, he is out for the remainder of the game with a knee injury.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. Your First International Bank and Trust sideline reports. And Boykin has been a big part of what they've done. Had the game-winning touchdown reception against Southern Utah with 12 seconds left. Had 8 catches for 135 yards in that game against SUU.
Yeah, secondary coach Joe Klanderman told me about Boykin. He said he's about as good as we're going to see this year at the wide receiver position. And now he's out.
Boy, that play read well by Maurice Burton. Dallas Freeman on the little jet sweep and a loss of 4.
Number 40 is an interesting story. Marcus Robinson.
Boy, is
he is the starting tight end. What's he playing defensive end? Well, he plays both ways, but because of the injury to Daly, who can't go, he meaning Robinson, is really pushed into much more of a dual role today. And he got a scholarship this year right before game one. He wasn't on scholarship, so before the first game, they had a little ceremony, and they said, Marcus, congratulations. We'll pick up the cost of your college.
This is a guy that had to sit out 2 years due to academic issues, LT. I mean, he... And Burton jumping off sides that time, but there goes 40 jogging off the field. This guy was not academically eligible for 2 years and then came back to play out of Memphis, Tennessee originally.
I wonder who gets him most now in practice, the defensive coaches or the offensive coach?
It's unique. You don't see it that often, certainly at the FCS level.
James Hendrick's been doing some of that a little bit for NDSU when he was backing up at quarterback, but not anymore.
3rd and 10 here. Stick delivers just a little bit out of the reach of Desmond Kane and incomplete. So NDSU unable to convert, and a 3 and out.
Even if that pass connects, Kane was going to have to break a tackle or two to pick up the first down, but that ball was just not in a very catchable position. Now, you don't know if that was Stick who was a little off or if Kane was a little off on the route. And to be hard on Dez, that's been the knock on him. He has his route running has not been as precise as the Bison wanted.
Fair catch called for and made by Dwayne Smith.
We do have a flag down here. I think it may be a sideline warning. We'll see. There's a flag right in front of the NDSU bench.
Jeremy Valentine, your head of referee today. Do have a hat on the field as well.
Foul, unnecessary roughness, blocking a player out of bounds. Receiving team number 3, half the distance to the goal. First down, North Alabama, timeout.
That will go on Jamal Jackson and back up UNA inside their own 10-yard line. 14-0, 5:46 to go here in the second quarter. Christian Lopez and the UNA offense backed up inside its own 10-yard line. Lopez complete again. Cortez Hall going down to make the reception at about the 12-yard line, pick up a 5.
Those are the type of pass plays that I thought that North Alabama would have to go to a little bit more just to try to keep Lopez upright, and so far it's been working. If there's one thing we found out about number 6, he's a tough kid because he's been bounced around a lot already in this first half.
Across the middle, and this one drops. Maybe a little behind Andre Little, but still should have been caught, so 3rd down coming up.
Tough spot to put your offense in because you're already start this drive back inside your own 10 because of the personal foul, and now you drop a pass or don't hold on to that reception, which would have been a first down.
It looks to me like Dexter Boykin is back in the game for North Alabama on the high side of your screen there, number 15.
Sure looks like it. That's Boykin right there.
Lopez hangs in there. Dangerous pass broken up by Jalen Allison Hall again, the intended target, and a flag comes in.
Broken up by number 21, Jalen
Allison had very good position, and the pass was a little bit too much to the inside to have a chance. Should be declined.
Holding, offense number 62. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Tavares Knowles, the junior. Again, of course, North Dakota State will decline that penalty. So the Bison should get pretty good field position here once again.
Number 88, Joe Burley, was on formation for North Alabama.
Here's Shepard back to return.
Shepard has to retreat all the way to the 32. Does have some room to maneuver, and he lost the ball. And North Alabama's got it at the 43. Now the ball is still loose. It looked like 2 UNA players had it for sure, and then a couple of green jerseys was able to get in the mix, so we'll see.
I still thought the Lions had it. And I was wrong.
Unbelievable.
Hayes. Those two guys must have bounced each other off of it, and Josh Hayes ends up with it. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Really nice strike there to get the ball to come loose. Now watch how long it's here. Two white jerseys. Oh, it slips behind him, and then Josh Hayes is able to jump in there. Right behind the hip of Underwood. Austin Underwood looked like he had it, and it slides right behind on his right hip.
And his own man, I think, knocked it out, LT.
That's what I mean. Those two guys went at it.
Chris Johnson was the guy that also went in there, so that saves a possession for NDSU with 5 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Flags.
False start. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Zach Johnson. Second flag on NDSU, and Chris Kleiman does not look too happy right now on the sidelines.
He was fairly animated the last time he went into the defensive huddle before the defense went out there. But defense has not been really the issue. Despite the 2-touchdown lead, it's the offense not looking sharp yet here today.
Well, North Dakota State just 31 rushing yards, and a majority of those yards came on the one Ty Brooks carry. This is Brooks again cutting it up. Burton coming in to make the tackle.
Running the play down from behind, so Burton from his defensive end position.
4 yards that time for Brooks.
Nodak Insurance Company replay, high side, number 9, running the play down from behind and staying with it. The defensive ends, I mean, Daly's not able to play today, but those two defensive ends are players that the NDSU coaching staff said, yeah, you need to watch the DNs because they can move.
Squeaking through a hole that time was Lance Dunn.
Look who again using that speed.
Pickup of 7, 3rd and 5 coming up.
Another example of what we were just talking about with Burton. He's from Chicago. He's a senior, and he'll come from your left, running down this play. Dunn, zone blocking scheme, tries to scoot inside, then bounce it out, but the good speed catches him before he can cut upfield.
And Burton coming from Scottsdale Community College, who has one of the better mascots.
Scottsdale. Help me.
The Artichokes.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I still like Leathernecks, though.
That's a pretty good one. Timeout, I think, for North Dakota State.
Both timeouts used because the Bison have been running out of time to snap it on the 25-second clock.
Well, the NDSU offense just not really in a rhythm here in the first half. The one big play to Dallas Freeman, the touchdown catch by Darius Shepard, but let's not forget the first NDSU touchdown was pretty much handed to them after they took over possession on the 3-yard line from the high snap. Let's take a look at your Bobcat game recap. Some miscues on both sides. NDSU just a couple of penalties and the one turnover. North Alabama's really been hit by penalties, 6 of them for 42 yards in the first half. And of course, the big miscue on special teams with the high snap, giving NDSU possession inside the 5.
Well, this week, Coach Kleiman did talk about how after playing that first game and then having the bye that had 2 weeks off, it almost feels like an opener. And this one has looked a little bit like a season opener.
Pressure coming on Stick. Running out of trouble. Stick firing deep. Wide open man again is Freeman. Freeman is down to the 4-yard line. Jamal Jackson retreating to make the tackle, but that's twice now that number 83 has been left all alone.
Well, the reason he's all alone is because of the footwork that Easton Stick did to keep this play alive. Nodak Insurance Company replay from the end zone. Just watch Stick. He's just running, and then he squares up. That's a real nice toss to get it down the field. Freeman was open the whole time, standing back there, wondering if his quarterback could see him. He finally did, and the Bison are inside the 5.
Boy, Stick took a big shot at the end of that play. Anderson tiptoeing his way through the hole and then taken down after a gain of a couple. Bottom of that pile is again Broderick Martin. Also Frank Williams in there.
These UNA defensive linemen, they have the size, but they don't have the height. That's one of the things that as you watch and become more Division I for the North Alabama, you'll see those guys get a little bit taller.
Dunn trying to get a little push from his lineman. I don't see a signal. And Dunn brought down short of the goal line. So 3rd and goal coming up.
Anderson had a crack at it, couldn't quite get there. Dunn's turn just a little bit short.
So Ty Brooks in at tailback for Dunn. Wallstrom the fullback. 3 tight ends.
Good spot to look for a tight end here.
Brooks going to get the call, and I don't think he got in. Maybe lost a yard.
Now this is getting marked back closer to the 2. That's 3 really nice plays by the team in white. Nodak Insurance Company replay coming right at you. The Bison are going to bring in the kicking unit.
Taylor got in there. Pretty good penetration from the middle linebacker spot. DeAndre Hart also coming in.
But again, I think Frank Williams, we'd mentioned him earlier. He had a nice little push on that play.
So NDSU unable to punch it in on 1st and goal from the 4. And here comes Peterson. 20-yard field goal attempt is up, and it is good. So NDSU tacks on 3 more to take a 17-0 lead with 53 seconds to go here in the first half.
That's a little hats off to the Lions. I don't know how many times we're going to see the Bison 1st and goal from the 4 have 3 running cracks at it and not score this year. Score the touchdown, that is.
Easton Stick, 7 of 12, 143 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Freeman has the 2 real big receptions. Already 2 catches for 102 yards here in the game.
There's the Bison horns. I see a lot of Bison horns when I drive back and forth to the games because I have a station card that has the logos on it and they know who's televising the game. So when I get past or whatever, you see a lot of horns on the interstates. It's kind of fun.
Did you give him the horns back?
I do.
All right. Let's take a look at the Bobcat scoring recap. 7 plays, 55 yards in just over 4 minutes.
I mean, are you ever disappointed by scoring? Well, probably you shouldn't be, but that was a little bit of a disappointing finish to finish with a field goal on that drive, I would say, from an NDSU perspective.
Time for another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed. This one bounces to about the 5-yard line, and Jackson cut down. James Hendricks, once again. I'm always calling him Jimmy Hendricks.
Jimmy
Because
Football?
that's what his team calls him.
Jimmy Football, he's called a lot too.
Would not guess that UNA would get too exotic here with 48 seconds until halftime, but you never know.
Unless you put yourself into what you got to lose position, which of course, that's what the Lions are. Look at the big man who plays center there. That's a very large individual.
Yeah, Jay Letatow, all the way from Fremont, California.
He's listed at 365, and I bet he's way north of that. Well, I'll tell you after the play.
Cox finds a hole, dragged down by Levi Jordheim.
Last year, when the kids were filling out a sheet and it was supposed to put, you know, your height and weight, he just wrote big. He didn't put his weight down. He just wrote B-I-G, big. And at the time, he was 400 and whatever. And he's right. That's big.
That's Chris Kleiman about him. So yeah, he played some guard last week against Alabama A&M in a game that North Alabama had a rally once again in the 4th quarter to get a victory. And the offense was rolling until Lopez got hurt, and then things went kind of south from there. But UNA able to hang on for the victory on the road in Huntsville. North Dakota State does lead 17-0. Chris Kleiman standing by here with Ryan Gellner. Let's go to Ryan.
Chris, it is 17-0. Your team leads, but only 43 rushing yards. I assume that's a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, we're not running the football very well. It's lucky that we're better on special teams because that's given us the lead. We've got to clean some things up, but let's give North Alabama credit. They're a good football team, and we've got to make some adjustments.
And your defense, though, is playing well.
Yeah, I expect them to.
Thank you, Chris. Guys, back upstairs to you.
Thank you, Ryan. The old ball coach can head to the locker room and try to get some things rolling here in the second half. But NDSU still leads it 17-0 here at the half. Report with Beth Huell and Alex Egan is coming up after this timeout. Brian Shaw, Lee Timmerman back here at the Fargo Dome. Ryan Gellner, a chance to catch up with UNA head coach Chris Willis.
Chris, you wanted it competitive at halftime, and other than a couple of big plays, this thing is competitive.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of the frustrating thing about being a coach and going through big games like this, especially playing the #1 team in the country. I mean, they're a good team, and I'm not by no means taking anything away from them, but, you know, we snap one over the head, there's 7. 2 busted coverages gives up 10 points. Our defense is playing some great football. I think it should be a little less, maybe 7-0, or, you know, 0-0. We're having trouble blocking them up front offensively a little bit, which we knew. But, you know, it's just mistakes. We get to 3rd and 2, we get false start, and we back up 3rd and 8. I'd like to see what could happen if we cut some of that out. I think the score would be different. They'd probably be ahead, maybe, you know. But, you know, right now you're right. Just eliminate the mistakes. You can't play a team like this on the road and do the things we did in the first half. I'm surprised it hadn't gotten out of hand because of some of the things we've done. But our defense has played well. They've done a good job against the run.
We appreciate it. Good luck the second half.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, let's go back into our keys for the football game, which we did before the game. The Dakota Magic Casino keys to the game. They were, first of all, get lined up. Could North Dakota State keep pace with North Alabama? And so far, the Bison have been able to do that defensively, and they have played well defensively against this North Alabama football team. Our number 2 Dakota Magic Casino keys to the game. Before the game, we said pre-snap. Could North Dakota State limit their penalties? They have done that. The 3rd key to the game, this one to be seen, guys. Protect the comeback. North Alabama thinks they're in this football game. Can North Dakota State protect the lead in this one? Back upstairs.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. Kickoff booted deep into the end zone. Ty Brooks a touchback, and North Dakota State will start from the 25. Bruce Anderson, pretty good push that time up front, gains 5 up to the 30.
To me, that's the interesting thing, I think, for this NDSU offense to see what adjustments are being made up front. That was a power play. This Bison seeing if they can move a little bit, get the guards in there moving. So the first play right out of the gate is a standard, basic play that NDSU runs a lot, but they want to see if they can run it well and move that defensive line a little.
Anderson remains a tailback. Des Kane, the motion man. Stretch play to the outside. Anderson trying to follow some blocks. And it's going to be close to a first down. I think he's got it across the 35 to the 36-yard line. His helmet came off. As we take a look at the quarterback numbers for Easton Stick, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. 7 of 12 for 143 yards and the 1 touchdown to Shepard. Of course, the 2 big receptions made by Dallas Freeman. When you talked about the busted coverages that Chris Willis mentioned just a moment ago to Ryan Gellner, Freeman the recipient of both of those.
Yeah, 102 of those 143 that go to Freeman on those 2 plays.
Delta formation. First time we've seen that formation this year. Room to the outside. Staying inbounds that time was Lance Dunn, cutting it up before he is pushed out of bounds. Good pickup on first down, enough for a first down to the 49-yard line. KJ Smith pushing him out of bounds.
the edge on this play and the previous play, both set extraordinarily well by Dylan Radens, the left tackle, the sophomore from Becker, Minnesota. He was able to be able to free up that outside, and you do it by being able to close off that outside. So 2 plays in a row, outstanding job by Radens.
Boy, Dunn met in the hole and pushed back again. And again, it's KJ Smith. Been in all 3 tackles here in the first part of the third quarter.
Well, through the first 2 games, he is second on the Lions team in tackles. Also had an interception that helped seal the win against A&M.
That was the first turnover forced by UNA this season. And Smith, certainly capable, transferred from the University of Georgia. And is the second leading tackler for the Lions this season. Stick, quick drop, fires, caught. Gain of a couple, about 7 yards. 3rd and 2 coming up after Dallas Freeman makes his 3rd catch of the day.
No busted coverage on this one for Freeman. He's going head up on Jackson, number 3. The first 3 steps off the line critical on a slant like that. You have to sell and get a good, or not necessarily release, but you need to sell the fact that you're going downfield before you plant your foot and then come back to the inside. So really nice route from Freeman. We talked a little bit about it in the first contest, how Easton Stick really trusts Dallas Freeman. He believes that of the routes that Freeman runs, he's going to be where he needs to be at the right time.
3rd and 2 here for the Bison. Stick again, plenty of time. And that ball broke on very well by Smith, who's been very active in this possession. And NDSU fails to convert. The Bison now just 2 of 7 on 3rd down today.
That ball just seemed to hang there a little bit longer. It didn't get out, and it was thrown to the inside shoulder too. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Stick, watch his helmet, see if he's trying to move somebody. Stays to the left most of the time, and a good break on the ball there by Smith. But did you notice how Shepard had to stop though, because the ball wasn't thrown to where he could continue to try and make the catch, thrown a little bit too far inside.
So Garrett Wegner will try to pin the Lions deep. And it is downed by Jabril Cox at about the 14.
1st and 10 for the Lions.
Well, the field possession game certainly won on the first possession by NDSU.
Well, the Bison already more rush yards here in the second half than they had all of the first half.
As always, Shields is the
Christian Lopez has been beaten and battered, but he's hung in there.
Been sacked 4 times already and hit a bunch on some of those incompletions, but 7 of 17 for his 53 yards.
Quarterback stats brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. Boy, good penetration up the middle that time, and Cox had nowhere to go. And a loss as Stanley Jones comes in to make the tackle.
That defensive line is having a day. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Look at
Blake Williams.
Blake Williams comes flying in there, and he gets turned around a little bit, keeps his back to the play, and just keeps going. And what's the best thing to throw a play off is penetration. And Williams just knew, I'm going to keep going, keep going, keep going, and he got the negative yardage.
Cox bouncing it outside. Robbie Grimsley puts a shoulder into him. Taken down after a gain of about 6.
Stop on the play by number 5, Robbie Grimsley.
So 3rd and 6 coming up now for the Lions.
3rd and 6, Bison Nation.
There's the read option. Give it away. And then the play has to belly a little bit further outside because Jordheim filled that first roll, bounced it to the next level. Grimsley comes down and makes another tackle. Robbie in his 41st start as a Bison.
North Alabama just 1 of 8 on 3rd down in the first half, and the play clock is running down.
Yep, look at the play clock.
Timeout.
Well, you certainly don't want to use a timeout this quick.
Charge timeout, North Alabama.
We'll step aside. 17-0 North Dakota State on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard.
Buying, building, or refinancing. Start with Gate City Bank Blue Standard pre-approval and experience a better home loan. Get started today at GateCityBank.com for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And on 3rd and long, Lopez has to throw it before he really wanted to. Intended target is Boykin. Jalen Allison a little bit slow getting up. Grabbing his midsection.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Grab. Let's see where he lands. Yeah, it might have been when the first contact was made. Jalen they're playing in his 45th game for the Bison, his 32nd start.
Boy, Gurley, another nice high, deep punt. Shepard calls for the fair catch at the 35-yard line. North Alabama just 1 of 9 on 3rd down today. Big reason why, LT, it's been a lot of 3rd and 7+ is what you want to stay out of against NDSU.
Yeah, and the Bison have been able to put pretty good pressure. What's NDSU on 3rd down, by the way?
2 of 7,
okay.
Not spectacular. And NDSU 5 of 9 on 3rd down 2 weeks ago against Cal Poly and 47% last year, so well below their average.
Yeah, well, I liked what Dylan Radens did the last time the Bison had the ball in the left tackle spot, so we'll see what else NDSU can maybe get rolling offensively.
Room this time, Anderson cuts outside. Bruce, a foot race down the far sideline, pushed out of bounds at about the 38-yard line of UNA and a 1st down. Jamal Jackson forcing Anderson out.
Just a zone blocking scheme with a fullback lead. Tanner Volson with a tremendous job moving that man in the middle. He did an excellent job. And then the 2 guards, he's got Connor and Bacon on either side of him, but to snap the ball and blast out of there, real athletic play by the center, Tanner Volson.
Back to Anderson again, not as much room this time, but still pushing the pile ahead and gaining 4 inside the 35 down to the 34. 27 yards on the run before, and now Anderson is over 50 yards rushing on the day on 10 carries.
Well, in the previous play, I said an athletic move by number 74 right there, Tanner Volson. Randy Hedberg and I were having a conversation, and Randy pointed out, he says, one way to see how athletic big guys are is how quick do they get back up after they hit the turf. He goes, watch him sometime, and then you'll see how athletic he is.
Anderson inside give, and again, pushing the pile forward inside the 30. Will bring up 3rd and 1.
Best drive so far today, I think, for those interior offensive linemen. Getting a body on a body and a good push with some zone blocking, nothing fancy.
Aquarian Harris and Frank Williams done a pretty good job in the middle.
They
have
to
stuff it up.
But they have been in there for quite a few snaps. They meaning North Alabama, unlike NDSU's defensive line, they don't get to rotate out much. They'll get tired.
Dunn this time. Patiently tiptoes through a hole to the 25.
And that hole came on the right side A-gap. It wasn't an A-gap power. Again, it was a zone. So Tanner Volson and Luke Bacon, those two combined to form a little bit of space where the play went. You'll see it coming right up the middle. Nodak Insurance Company replay. That's one thing Lance does a very good job of, is staying patient, waiting for that hole just to open a little bit. He did.
Burton coming off of his block from Ben Ellefson to make the tackle. Freeman got a nice cut block in front that time by Darius Shepard, and Freeman gains 8 yards to the 16.
The thing to remember is, where does Shepard make that block? Within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. He's able to do that, get outside wide, get a little bit of a cut. Here's the 2 guys we're talking about. The pass is going to go to the outside guy. Shepard with the block, cuts down. Freeman is able to pick up almost a 1st yard, a 9-yard gain.
The cut blocks downfield have been a point of emphasis for the officials. We have not seen it here in the first couple of games. Dunn, again following some blocks. Flag comes in late. And that, according to Chris Kleiman's reaction on the sideline, could be coming back. Now Colin Connor is pointing North Alabama's way, so this may actually be going against
defense, number 96.
UNA.
Half the distance to the goal, added to the end of the run. The result after the penalty is a first down.
Rare to see a defensive hold by an interior lineman, but it does happen, LT.
On that play, I was actually watching the tail end of what Zach Johnson was doing to the man that he brushed off. He got to the second level and just started shoving, pushing, and buried a guy about 10 yards deep. I need to move the ball an extra yard, respot it.
And Christian Watson on the near side at receiver. I've not seen Watson, who's been battling a little bit of a foot problem. Stick is going to keep it. Puts a shake on a man. Easton Stick, touchdown.
Nodak Insurance Company replay here on the touchdown. Pulls it out from Lance. Is able to spin off of one man and get it up and in. There's the offensive line that we felt we would see today. We saw on that particular drive. The Bison just played smash mouth football. We're bigger, faster, stronger up front, and they showed it.
And the first run of the day for Easton Stick is a touchdown run. And North Dakota State has extended the lead to 24-0 here in the third quarter. 6:27 to go here in the third quarter. 24-0 North Dakota State leads after an Easton Stick 6-yard touchdown run. Time for another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed. Booted deep.
Fair catch.
Polite calls for the fair catch at the 9-yard line, so UNA will start at the 25. Have not seen a lot of that, LT, through the first few weeks of the season, but twice here today now for UNA.
Yeah, it's the new rule. You take advantage of it. You don't beat your guys up because we all know that kickoff and kick return, the biggest collisions and that type of thing happen on that particular play. And it's a new play to try to help design to take some of that big collision stuff away.
When you talk to Chris Kleiman, he's told his guys, we are going to be aggressive. With Ty Brooks and Bruce Anderson, we want the ball in those guys' hand, and we have a new quarterback in. That is Chris Weaver that has come in and has run the ball for 4 yards. And how about Weaver? Not only has he not played in the first two games, he hasn't even been at the first two games. Well, he was expecting a child for the opener, and then at Southern Utah, and the kid didn't come.
No, came a little late, so he had missed game two, too.
Weaver redshirted at Louisiana Lafayette. Went to junior college, Jones Community College, and then ended up here at North Alabama. Andre Little makes the reception. He is upended by Jabril Cox after a gain of about 4.
And that has nothing to do with the way that Lopez was playing.
Bobcat scoring a recap, 7 plays, 65 yards. Bruce Anderson, a 27-yard gain as NDSU got the ground game going a little bit. The Bison now 118 yards on the ground after having just 31 at halftime. Lopez now back into the game, I think.
Yeah, he switched to wideout.
Weaver's going to keep it here on third down, and he lunges ahead and rumbles ahead up to the 37-yard line. Second third down conversion of the day for the Lions.
Yeah, Lopez got an interesting little nickname when he first got on campus. They started calling him Spider-Man. He got bit by 2 fingers by a brown recluse spider, and his hand started swelling up and everything. So during fall camp, they kept calling him Spider-Man.
Had strep throat last week, played through that. Weaver under pressure. He's going to run it again. Boy, the big man can move. Robbie Grimsley finally making the tackle inside NDSU territory at the 47. And the Lions here picking up the tempo.
That'll be their after a big play, get to the line, run another one.
Inside handoff this time, not much, as Humphrey carries the ball to the 45-yard line.
Well, North Alabama hasn't had a lot of plays today where you can do that tempo. After a first down or a big play, you get to the line and you just go. That's Ryan Alpin we saw there, the offensive coordinator. Interesting move because last year's offensive coordinator is this year's defensive coordinator, and he moved because of the opportunity to get Alpin to come and call plays.
And again, let's not forget that the guy that moved from offensive to defensive coordinator won a national championship in 2016 at the D2 level. Weaver flushed out again. He's going to take off again. Why not? Jalen Wimbush makes the initial contact as Weaver dives ahead to the 39-yard line. 3rd and 2 coming up.
Andre Little was waving his hand on when Weaver first started scrambling to try to scramble deep. He was the deepest man out there, but Weaver did not have an opportunity to try to set his legs and get a pass away. Now Lopez is back in.
But now Lopez splits out to wide out again. And Weaver is going to throw it downfield and airing out. And the receiver actually became the defensive back that time as Boykin was the intended target but had to tip it away from James Hendricks, who was settling underneath that ball looking for the interception.
Hendricks did not get baited at all, thinking that the last time they saw this situation, it was a quarterback run. Nodak Insurance Company replay. Weaver looking long the whole time. James with a good read at his quarterback. Perfect position.
Looked like an initial thought there to possibly go for it on 4th and 2, but now Chris Willis will run the punt team out.
Robbie Grimsley in punt formation for the Lions, number 88, Joe Gurley.
Play clock down to 2, now 1, and they did not get it off.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's penalty yards against you, but in this game situation, what's another snap from the 39, snap from the 44, no big difference.
Robbie Grimsley, the deep man this time for NDSU. Chris Willis, 17 years at North Alabama. End over end, pretty short. Grimsley's going to come up and take the fair catch at about the 19-yard line. And we will step aside. 24-0 North Dakota State. The Bison have the football back when we come back.
Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, Gate City Bank Home Loans are locally approved, financed, and serviced. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Easton Stick in the Bison offense back on the field with a 24-0 lead, and now Stick play action. Brock Robbins dropped it wide open in the flat.
Well,
34, Brock Robbins is in. Brings up second.
not much to say about that one. And there was a blocker too. Ben Ellefson had a big time block. Ben was wide open too. But I think Stick elected to go short guy because he saw the fact that Ellefson did have an opportunity to block on the edge. Could have been a big play. 0 yards.
Ty Brooks spinning around, ping-ponging around, and picking up 5 yards to the 22. Hard guy to find behind his offensive line. Just kind of sneaks behind everybody. Real quick feet. 4th carry of the day for Brooks. Has 35 yards.
Ty had that nice 27-yard run in the first half.
So another 3rd down here for NDSU. 3rd and 5.
Here's a formation I thought we would see more of today. 3 wide.
Anderson makes the reception, but he's going to be short of a first down by a yard, up to the 26. Nice job by Taylor coming out from his linebacking position to make the open field stop on Anderson.
Well, that's what your Mike linebacker has to do. You have to be able to make plays one-on-one against a running back. And Anderson's thinking just the opposite. If I'm going to have the opportunity to beat one guy to get the first down, I think I can do it. Well, in that particular play, Taylor, the sophomore from Hoover, Alabama, leading tackler, made a good one.
So Garrett Wegner back out. Boy, another nice high spiral from Wegner. No fair catch.
Cox.
And that's a bad idea when Jabril Cox is run down there full speed unblocked.
But what a difference a drop makes, though. On that whole possession would have been different had Robbins been able to hold on to that. Maybe the offense gains a little momentum. That would have been a first down, blah, blah, blah. The drop, nothing happens after that. Taylor makes a nice tackle, and you give the ball back up.
Let's go to the sidelines to Ryan Gellner.
Hey guys, just a little insight with the quarterback Christian Lopez. I was told before the game and then checked it out when he did not return last series. I was told not by a coaching staff member, but by a member of the sideline. The game plan all week had been as soon as they felt like the game was out of hand, he was going to come out of the football game. You put 2 and 2 together, he's out of the football game, guys.
Boy, nifty running there from Andre Little. Thank you so much, Ryan. Ryan looked like he was going to be stopped in his tracks, or Little, excuse me. Was able to still dart ahead to the 31 and pick up 8 yards.
Gain of 8 on the play. Brings up 2nd and 2 for the Lions.
Handoff again. Nothing.
Dan Marlette and friends. Stanley Jones also there. It's fun when you hear you go, the NDSU and North Alabama have not played, obviously, for a long, long time. But there's always ways to connect them. Mark Lindner is the athletic director for North Alabama. He went to college at Wayne State, where Matt Entz was. And Mark Lindner's sons were the ring bearers at Matt Entz's wedding.
Small world, isn't it?
It always is.
That'll take us to the end of the third quarter. 24-0, North Dakota State leads. It'll be 3rd and 2 for the Lions when we come back. Well, as LT talked about, these two programs have not met in a while. As a matter of fact, the only time they did meet was back in 1985 in McAllen, Texas for the Division II championship game, at that time called the Palm Bowl. North Dakota State rolled 35-7. Chad Stark, 113 running yards in that. North Alabama had 6 turnovers in that game, and it was a pretty good football team for North Dakota State, and really started and continued that run of Division II excellence. Championship in 86, 88, and 90 followed.
Yeah, Jeff Bentram had 2 touchdowns. You mentioned 86, 88, and 90. Those games were played in Florence, Alabama, where Jeff Hodges, who is still the sports information director for the Lions, he was the media coordinator for all those games back then.
How about Jeff Hodges? Been at North Alabama 36 years and was in Fargo in 1994 for the Division II Women's Elite 8. He said, we got beat by like 70 points by North Dakota State in the semifinals, and I remember Barry Manilow had a concert at the Fargo Dome when we were there. And then he said to me, you may not know who that is. I said, no, I know who Barry Manilow is.
Cole Karch did a real nice job on that particular play, not to overrun it. Got in the backfield, was able to break down and take care of Weaver, the quarterback. There's Coach Willis on your left. Was told by a couple of people, actually, from Florence that he's done everything for this program in different ways, shapes, or forms, so he's the perfect guy to lead us to Division I.
Weaver to throw. Intercepted. Picked off by Jabril Cox. Near sideline, inside the 10. Touchdown. Second career interception for Jabril Cox.
I remember the first one in the Snow Bowl last year.
Illinois State.
Key play to beat the Redbirds late in that game. I like the way he runs with it after he catches it. Sometimes I wish he was a tailback because that guy can move.
Well, he was a quarterback in high school, dual threat. Chris Kleiman said, no, sir, we're making you a linebacker. It's worked out pretty well here in Fargo. 31-0 North Dakota State, 13:38 to go. Show your Bison pride today with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecitybank.com/mycard. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC. Jabril Cox, a 43-yard interception return for a touchdown. And the Bison lead at 31-0 with 13:38 to go. Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed.
Fair caught.
Jamal Jackson will just catch the ball and hand it back to the linesman. UNA will start at the 25.
There's Jabril right there. He's such a gifted athlete.
Let's go down to Ryan Gellner.
A couple of Missouri Valley scores on our First International Bank and Trust sideline update. Youngstown State has a win, 42-7 over Valpo. Other scores, it was Missouri State leading 33-6 over Northern Arizona. Jason Randall, 144 yards and 2 touchdowns in that one. And Montana has taken the lead at half, 18-17. The Grizz returning a kick 95 yards for a touchdown, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. And I'll tell you what, that's a good win for Missouri State and Dave Steckel. You know, it's been a tough going for the Bears here over the last several seasons. But that's a quality win over a Big Sky opponent.
Yeah, that's a really good win. Good to see the Bears do that. That's the one game, the one road trip we will not be making this year. Otherwise, all the rest of the regular season games are right here on the station you're watching right now.
Game at Missouri State will be on the league. ESPN 3 only, I believe, is for that contest. ESPN 3 or ESPN Plus. Weaver remains in the game. Stanley Jones giving chase. Weaver fires back across the grain, and it's caught. Nice throw, nice catch. As Jake Peavy makes his first reception, sophomore.
During the break after the touchdown by Jabril Cox, Brian and I were just talking amongst ourselves, and I said that I think that Jabril Cox could almost play corner, meaning that his athleticism and his hips are almost good enough to be able to do that at this level, and that's saying a lot for a guy who's a linebacker.
False start, offense number 76. 5-yard penalty remains second down.
Jay Letitow. Today's game brought to you by the KVLY, KFYR Bison Television Network. KVLY, your affiliate in the East. KFYR, KMOT, and Bismarck and Minot, respectively.
And KQCD and KUMV in Dickinson and Williston.
Weaver again stepping up, dragged down.
Karch.
Helped by Stanley Jones, and Cole Karch has been frequent in the backfield.
During the pregame show, we talked about snap counts and how if the Bison could figure them out, how much that would help, especially in pressure situations. The Bison haven't figured out because the defensive linemen are just exploding right off the ball. Menard had a great jump. Karch had a great jump. Jones had a great jump on that particular snap. Another good one.
Trevor Height makes the fair catch at the 27-yard line, so North Dakota State will take over here once again.
New quarterback coming in. I think we're going to see the true freshman.
That is Trey Lance out of Marshall, Minnesota. Randy Hedberg mentioning to you this week that we want to get him some snaps. And again, with this new redshirt rule, these true freshmen can play up to 4 games and still redshirt for the season. Very talented, sought-after quarterback. One of the first commits of the 2018 class. Had a very late and aggressive offer from Boise State. Decided to sign with NDSU in late December, and here he is. Brooks sneaking through a hole before he's taken down. Gain 4.
Coach Messingham said that what he wanted to see was some real action, some real games for Lance. And believe it or not, you think quarterbacks taking a snap, getting up under center, you do that all the time. No, that's one of the major things that Trey had to learn coming here to NDSU. He had never been under center. And the footwork and the timing and all those things that you get taken for granted for all those years of high school, this is the first time he has been up under center.
Another true freshman making his debut is Kenneth Chanel, who just made his first collegiate reception at the 40-yard line. And Chanel has a first down up to the 43, and a young man that has impressed enough as a true freshman out of Jacksonville, Florida, where he's getting an opportunity here today.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Freshman to freshman. Lance looking over there. Chanel makes the catch, working from that slot back position. He meaning Chanel from Jacksonville, Florida. Very, very fast young man, and the Bison hope that he can develop and blossom into a slot type of a receiver.
Chanel had a bunch of offers, including an FBS offer to Central Michigan. Signed in the late signing period as Cofield spins out of a tackle that time from Kadarius Davis and gains 2 yards to the 45.
Nash Jensen is in play, and I believe Nash is at right guard next to Johnson. Volson Bacon moves to left guard.
Phoenix Sproles also in the game. We saw him
and Tanner Volson
in the opener.
Tanner Volson playing left tackle now.
Lance going to keep it this time, and he did a lot of this in Marshall, Minnesota. First down inside UNA territory to the 45-yard line. And again, Trey comes from a very good pedigree. His father was a player and a collegiate coach.
On the carry, that's another Bison.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Trey making the read, pulling it away from the running back, getting a real good kick-out block there on the edge by Noah Gindorf, number 87, is able to pick up the first down. This is the benefit of the new rule. The opportunity for a true freshman to get in, play some games, and still be able to be freshman eligible next year. This is why coaches love the new rule.
Brooks puts on the brakes. Somebody lost their helmet in there from North Alabama as Brooks is brought down after a short gain.
One of the men making the tackle.
Kadarius Davis. And he will go out for a play.
Yep, that is also the rule. If your helmet comes off during game situations, you must go off the field for a minimum of 1 play.
Jimmy Kaporos now on the field once again for NDSU. Transfer from Western Michigan.
Another true freshman going out left in the second man in. That's Phoenix Sproles. He probably will go 4 games and beyond this year. He probably will not be a redshirt.
Lance going to take off and run. Middle wide open. Look at number 5 run. Trey Lance to the 10. Trey Lance, touchdown.
You have just witnessed why the Bison coaching staff and the people surrounding this program are so excited that number 5 is in green and gold. Right now he has all kinds of room, but then he busts through that one arm tackle and tremendous top end speed and then dives for the end zone. Trey Lance, gorgeous run.
Doesn't take long for that young man to make an impression and make an impact. First touchdown for the youngster out of Marshall. 37-0 NDSU. Here comes Jake Reinholtz to boot the extra point. Peterson will head back to the sidelines. Reinholtz did make a PAT in the opener against Cal Poly. We'll step aside. 38-0, North Dakota State. How about this freshman? He's fired up, he should be.
Look at the smiles. Buying, building, or refinancing? Start with a Gate City Bank Blue Standard pre-approval and experience a better home loan. Get started today at gatecitybank.com for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Trey Lance, 44-yard touchdown run. Big debut for the freshman out of Marshall. Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. And again, Jackson will call for the fair catch.
Bruce Anderson, right before we came back, we were looking at our monitor, and Bruce was down there talking with Lance, and everybody's all smiles and everything, and Anderson kind of gave him the, oof, boy, that was good type of a look on how much top-end speed he had at the end of that run.
Weaver remains in the ball game here for North Alabama. And for UNA, at least they get to go home. Night game against Azusa Pacific, 6 o'clock next Saturday night, back at Braley Stadium in Florence. And again, all D2s on the schedule at home, all D1s on the road. But unfortunately for North Alabama, they lost
a game. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Incarnate Word dropped them to play a December 1st matchup with Iowa State. The reason for that, Iowa State lost a game they were supposed to play against South Dakota State 2 weeks ago because of a lightning storm. Michael Tutsi in on that tackle of Humphrey.
He's got a bright, bright future. He is backing up right now Robbie Grimsley in that strong safety position. Michael, a redshirt freshman from Indianapolis.
Comes from a powerhouse high school, Warren Central. Mitchell Cardis, another freshman in there for North Dakota State, along with Jackson Hankey. Boy, what a great catch.
Oh, that's a super catch.
Wow.
Rico Morris.
Yeah, how about that? His first catch of the year. Ellsville, Mississippi. Boy, that's a good one.
Look at the adjustment. The adjustment he has to make to the ball after he knows it's thrown behind him. That's top-notch stuff. Nodak Insurance Company bringing you your replays.
Weaver gonna run, not gonna get much. Logan McCormick in there with a whole bunch of other guys. Quinn Alo. Let's take a look at your North Dakota Soybean Council fun fact for the half. Regardless of the label, all food adheres to USD regulations. Farmers take great pride in providing safe and nutritious food and tasteful food.
Well, you mentioned Hankey in there playing at linebacker. Another kid playing right beside him, number 54, Mark Stump.
Oh, Stump, sorry.
From Bismarck High. There's Mark right there, getting opportunities, and Coach Entz has talked about how in practice he's earned his chance to get some game reps.
Bouncing it out is Humphrey, who's been pretty productive when he's been in the game. Push out of bounds on that play by Destin Telbert. Another true freshman out of Illinois. Was kind of brought in as an athlete, wide receiver, DB. Got to camp, made him a defensive back out of the Chicago area.
And one of the things that Coach Entz was talking about with Mark Stump, he's 6'3", he's 210. So he's 20 pounds heavier and an inch taller than his brother MJ when MJ got here. So you talk about building blocks.
Delayed handoff. Humphrey again finding some room. And Tutsi in on that tackle. Pushing him out of bounds. Along with McCormick. Just shy of a first down. About a yard shy. NDSU 39.
Well, in the first two games, Humphrey was averaging 12 yards a carry.
North Alabama has not been shut out since October 14th of 2010. They lost 5-0 to Valdosta State.
A grand slam and a solo homer. Huh?
There you go. The Lions have scored in 89 straight games, and they got 5 minutes to get something on the board here. Enough for a first down that time for Humphrey as Hankey makes the tackle.
Hankey with real good upside. His football IQ, or his understanding of the concepts and the pictures of what the defense is trying to do and the places that he's trying to be, thumbs up from the coaching staff on what Jackson's been able to do.
And pleasantly surprised. Weren't sure how quickly he'd pick things up, and pick things up, I think, much faster than they anticipated.
Yeah, he's in his redshirt season from Grand Forks, played at Red River. Humphrey again. And Hankey in on another tackle. Who else was in there with him? I think it was Matt Bigler in there too.
A Bigler guy that Nick Gazer told me at Springall just needs to get stronger. So getting thrown out of there a little bit too much, but likes the motor.
Yeah, he's a sophomore from Underwood, Minnesota, goes about 275 now.
Boy, another nice catch that time by Morris with his hands. Hey, they got some receivers to work with here in North Alabama.
They got a real good group. And we're seeing that the kids behind the red shirts have some talent as well. But this North Alabama team is, when they become eligible, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with, especially in the Big South. It's not, my opinion, for whatever it matters, not the strongest conference in the world. So I think when the Lions are ready, they're going to be there competing right off the bat on the top part of that conference. That's just what I think.
And with Liberty leaving, I think North Alabama was hoping to just join the conference this year, but the school said no, as Wagee makes a tackle. Not much there.
Yeah, sometimes it almost feels like when you decide to make that move from Division II, Division I to Division I, in some form or fashion, you have to get punished a little bit along the way. Bison went through it. UND's kind of went through it. You know, so we've seen it happen, and I don't know. That's just, again, what I think. But by not allowing them in right away, it's just like, all right, don't get too fast. Play the D2s at home, that type of thing. You're gonna get there, but we're not gonna give it to you right away.
And Chris Willis said, hey, there's some guys we thought we had, but they said, Coach, I want to play in the postseason. We lost some guys, and he goes, we knew that was going to be something that happens. We've had to rely more on junior colleges. And a flag comes out. Play clock ran out.
Delay of game, offense, number 14, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And even though they have a lot of junior college players and transfers right now, Willis wants to build his program very similar to the way North Dakota State has. Developmental 4- and 5-year players out of high school.
I see Lane Tucker, number 60, redshirt freshman from Gillette, Wyoming. 6'4", 270 in there, playing some defensive tackle right now.
Yeah, Wyoming Player of the Year.
There
a couple of years ago.
Lining up for his head-to-head battle against a guard.
Handoff again. This guy's ran hard today. He's been a workhorse. Cox now 13 carries, 57 yards. This copyrighted broadcast is property of North Dakota State University. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or distribution without the consent of NDSU is strictly prohibited.
This is the last year for Cox in the program. Damon right there. He's a senior. Led the team in carries coming into this game. He had 31 in the first 2 games, and now the Lions, I think for personnel purposes, don't like what they had out there, so they'll call timeout.
First timeout, North Alabama. Their second of the half. Media timeout.
We'll step aside one more time. 1:43 to go here in Fargo. North Alabama just 3 of 13 on third down today. 3rd and 9 coming up here. Weaver getting away, airing it up. Jump ball, it is caught. Boykin hauls it in. Touchdown.
Well, Weaver was almost on his way down, and he just heaves it up. It kind of sailed on him. And then Boykin caught it at the peak. Nodak Insurance Company replay. He has a man on his leg, throws it up. Just.
And that was James Kaser, another freshman, battling for the football. But Boykin just went up and got it. Nice catch by the redshirt freshman.
And UNA is not shut out.
Now 90 straight games with at least a point. And breaks up the shutout here with 1:34 to go.
Illegal substitution, 12 players in formation, kicking team, 5-yard penalty. We'll replay the try.
Carrera finally get to see him do something today. And he boots through the extra point, and it's 38-7.
With North Alabama making this transition, there's a guy who's at Jacksonville State, Greg Seitz, who is the athletic director there. Well, Greg Seitz has some ties to the UNA program. He was actually a student worker under the sports information director back when he was an understudy. And Greg Seitz said that he kind of helped him. Here's some things you need to do. And the number one thing he said, financing. You need to get to 63 scholarships right off the bat, and through the backing of the president and everybody else. That, I think, is the one thing that UNA has going for it more than anything in this transition, is that type of backing.
And North Dakota State got the same advice. Gene Taylor wisely did the same thing when he was transitioning the football program. But if you remember, a former NCC school that made the move up, Northern Colorado did not do it. They made a gradual process over a 5-year span, and they have never really recovered from that after really being one of the top programs in Division II.
Yeah, still treading water, I think, is probably one way to say that the program is, that haven't really done much.
Well, Chris Willis' squad will get out of Fargo with a paycheck and go home for a while, which I think they're happy about. Also play at Campbell on September 29th, so a lot of road games here early for the Lions. Anderson will call for the fair catch. NDSU will take a couple of knees and walk out of the Fargo Dome 2-0 with a 38-7 victory. How about Lopez? Boy, that guy was hit a lot today. Hung in there, though.
Early on, he was the marked man. It could have been a flashing neon sign right above his head that says, "I'm right here, hit me." That one was late. That's a penalty. Greg Menard shouldn't have done that. But, yeah, he was getting blasted a lot. He stuck in there. He took the punishment. And the Bison just kept hitting him repeatedly.
Cofield gained 6 yards up to the 31-yard line.
Yeah, with Lopez not being able to be as mobile as he was the first couple of games due to a bad bruise, the Bison knew that.
Well, 6 quarterback hits, 4 sacks.
And again, coming in, where did NDSU have the biggest advantage? We thought right there.
Yep.
Defensive line against the Lions' offensive line, and it played out in that Lopez got hit so much.
Jet sweep to the outside. That one's covered up. Nice job defensively.
And Chanel again, isn't it?
Yep.
He has one catch and now a run.
Jeffrey Battle coming up from the safety spot to make that tackle.
3rd and 6 for the Bison.
Zach Kubis in there, Schoening in there. There's a look at Chanel. Cofield taken down on what will be the final play of the game. Both teams will head to midfield, shake hands. NDSU wins 38-7. North Alabama suffers its first loss of 2018, and now the Lions will look forward to going home for a while after being on the road 3 straight weeks. Two coaches embrace. I think a lot of respect there between those two guys.
Yeah, Coach Willis is one of those guys where you've heard me say the line before. I don't know him, but I think I like him.
And just the way he speaks, no nonsense. He goes, we live in an RPO world down where we are. I don't like RPOs.
I don't like it.
I
run
like
it,
old school. Yeah, I goes, I think it's illegal. So yeah, offensive linemen get downfield too often, but it's one of those things. I think 2020, 2021, we're going to start hearing North Alabama more in the FCS ranks. I don't think there's any question about that. Ryan Gellner will catch a word here with head coach Chris Kleiman to get his thoughts on the 38-7 victory.
Chris, they certainly responded second half.
Yeah, we played better football the second half, and that's a quality opponent that's going to win a lot of games, and they already won a couple. But I was proud of the guys. They answered the bell the second half, got some momentum on offense, made a big play on defense, and it was fun to see us go out there with some young guys to perform.
Yeah, those young guys really did perform. Boy, the place is still buzzing over Trey Lance. He can fly.
Yeah, it was a good play by him, and I was excited. You know, we're going to use that 4 games, and this was an opportunity for us to at least get him a few snaps.
Appreciate it, Coach. Congratulations on the win.
Appreciate it.
Guys, back upstairs.
All right, thanks, Ryan. North Dakota State wins again, 38-7, as Chris Kleiman moves to 57-6 all-time as head coach here at NDSU. Not bad. Not bad.
No, that's better than not bad. But the physical aspect of this game in the second half, we saw it. That one really nice drive where the offensive line exerted itself, got some things done on the ground, and that's when the game was decided at that particular point.
Well, it was a good, solid win for North Dakota State. The Bison will now have Delaware coming in here next weekend from the Colonial
On
and the Blue Hens on homecoming. Should be a lot of fun. And we will step aside and be back with a post-game show after this. You're watching NDSU football on the Bison KVOI KFYR television network. Welcome back to the KVOI KFYR Bison television network. North Dakota State 38-7 victory over North Alabama here at the Fargo Dome today. Brian, Sean, Lee Timmerman back with you. And LT, for North Dakota State, I think Chris Kleiman said it, maybe didn't expect this North Alabama team to pose as many challenges as they did. The Bison had a little trouble getting things going, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, the North Alabama defensive line didn't get really tired until that second half. They don't have a lot of guys behind them. They couldn't stay fresh. You saw some of that. Of course, Jabril Cox had the one big interception that kind of helped turn things. But getting the ground game established in the second half is where NDSU won the particular game, and they really owned that side of the ball, especially in the second half. Only had 40-some rushing yards in half number 1.
Let's take a look at your final stats brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. And when you look at them, for North Dakota State, efficient, good balance, time of possession actually went in favor of North Alabama. But the Bison ultimately made enough plays and really did just kind of do enough to win.
Yeah, it was 149 yards rushing in the second half to get to that 192 mark. So it was just 43 yards on 14 carries in that first half. But the game played out kind of what I thought it would happen earlier. I thought in the first half NDSU would be able to establish a few things more on the offensive side. It didn't happen. But in the third quarter, again, the running game worked. The passing game, still a work in progress, even though Easton Stick did a good job of finding the blown coverage and taking advantage of that by hitting Freeman a couple of different times. I don't know that the timing is quite there yet through the air.
And NDSU has not really thrown the ball a lot here in the first couple of games. As you mentioned, the running game got going. Neither team great on third down. North Alabama just 4 of 14, NDSU 3 of 10. Typically much better than that, closer to 5 or 6 out of 10 on those situations. Any other takeaways you had that maybe didn't show up in the statistics?
Well, defensive side, you don't see a lot of statistics. But again, the defensive line played tremendous. NDSU was very aggressive in what they did with the safeties, especially Robbie Grimsley in that first half when Lopez wasn't quite as mobile. I think that played a big part of the game. But you know, the Bison just efficient enough. And when we talk to the coaches next week, they'll still talk about wanting to be a little more proficient and a little better with the timing of the passing game, I think.
I think that's definitely something they will definitely say before they take on Delaware here 1 week from today. We'll step aside and be back with a look at some of the offensive highlights here today. We talked about Dallas Freeman. He had a big day, 4 catches, 117 yards. Stay with us. More to come. Welcome back to the Fargo Dome. 38-7 your final. North Dakota State moving to 2-0 on this young season. Brian, Sean, Lee Timmerman back with you. And offensively, LT, we talked about in the previous segment that the third down percentage maybe not as efficient as they'd like to be, but ultimately the Bison did get things rolling and got a lot of different players involved, which was good too.
They did. The ball was spread around. A lot of different people were able to make some big plays, some relatively big plays, as we'll look through some of those, and a couple of short touchdowns get the Bison the lead.
Yeah, it was Lance Dunn scoring the touchdown after the high snap on the punt. Brock Robbins made a reception, and Dallas Freeman was able to sneak behind the defense a couple times as well.
Yeah, there was the first one from Freeman. This is one that ends up being a touchdown as Shepard is able to stretch across and stay inside the pylon for the passing touchdown from Stick.
Peterson, I think inching closer. He may be tied now with Mr. Keller for most extra points in a career. This is another nice play for Freeman. Nice block by Shepard.
Stick's touchdown. He pulls it out of the belly and makes one guy miss, and then he's got a pretty good nose for the end zone. We've saw that throughout the years with Easton Stick.
His only carry of the day. And then we got to look at the true freshman Trey Lance. Completed his first ever collegiate pass to Kenneth Chanel, who had his first ever collegiate reception. And then we saw what this kid can do with his legs, and it's impressive.
Yeah, this is his first run. He's able to keep his shoulders square. And the last one we're going to look at is the one that is really impressive. And this is the reason he was so highly scouted and recruited, I should say. The ability to finish. Look at the speed at the end, and he just knows he's not going to be taken down. And the big smile on his face. I enjoyed watching his teammates be so happy for him to be able to score his first touchdown as a freshman.
And Trey Lance ends up being the second leading rusher for North Dakota State. 2 carries, 52 yards, just 2 yards behind Bruce Anderson.
Yeah, 44-yarder, I believe, on that touchdown.
That's exactly right. So fun to see some of the young faces in the future here at NDSU as well. We step aside one more time. We'll be back here to look at some of the defensive highlights and also talk to our player of the game. That's after this. Back here to wrap things up at the Fargo Dome, 38-7 your final, as North Dakota State will move to 2-0 and play one more non-conference game next Saturday against Delaware before South Dakota State comes to town at the end of the month. 4 straight home games to start things off here for the Bison before going on the road for back-to-back games at Western Illinois and Northern Iowa. Brian Shaw, Lee Timmerman with you. Defensively, you felt bad a little bit for Christian Lopez. He was hit 6 times. He was sacked 4 times. And he never really was able to get comfortable behind center all day long.
No, I think Lopez knows what a golf ball feels like because he was put right on a tee and whacked repeatedly. Here he is being taken down on a rollout. That was Cole Karch in there. And just there wasn't much. The Bison defense, you know, they didn't have to work too hard to get at him because he wasn't real mobile. And only 13 yards rushing in the first half. He just got pummeled and pummeled and pummeled. And it's a thing of beauty if you're a defensive line and linebacking crew, as Marlette is in on that one, to be able to have that, know that, and just pound a quarterback.
Yeah, we saw Chris Weaver come in, backup quarterback, about midway through the third quarter, and he took the snaps the rest of the way. Lopez was kind of used as a decoy in a couple of runs, but for the most part, they gave number 6 the second half off because they got to get ready for another home game next Saturday.
Yeah, and Weaver was the one, too, that threw the pass a little bit to the inside that Jabril Cox was able to jump the route, take that one in for the defensive touchdown. So whenever you can do that as well, when you can score a defensive touchdown, again, a nice little cherry on a well-played game from that side of the ball.
Well, the defensive line we've saw LT is we saw Spencer Wagey move inside. We've seen Tuska do that. We've seen some other guys, all these defensive ends. Matt Ensign, I think this defensive staff, Buda Williams, Nick Gazer, they're getting really creative now on who they're putting in what position to see how they perform.
Well, I was talking with Coach Entz a little bit earlier this week about how do you figure out which of those 10 guys you're going to play. And he just said, hey, that's Buda and Gazer's job because there's sub-packages that go along with down and distance, which you were just talking about. So why does Wagey come in on this particular down and distance? And that's really what Coach Gazer has to do and Buda together have to make sure that they could figure out who needs to be in the game at the right time on the next snap, depending on what the defense just did in the prior snap. If it's second and long, they want to get those 4 defensive end types in a total pass rushing situation. So it's a beautiful thing to have, but also not always real easy to manage all of that at the same time. And the guys have to be sharp with it too.
And we had talked about guys moving inside, outside, and even Chris Kleiman has said we have to find a way to get these guys on the field more, even if it's only every 3rd or 4th series, just because we've seen they can perform when they get out there. And with more of these young guys getting an opportunity on the field, it just creates more competition, I think, at all the position groups, especially on defense.
And the beauty of it, too, another thing to go back to the defensive line with NDSU is the fewer snap, everybody wants to play. Obviously, that's why you're here. You want to play. But the fewer snaps
at times that a Greg Menard will take per se, or Cole Karch. Now, in games 9, 10, 11, 12, you get some of those snaps back and become fresh at the end of the year because of how you're managing it now.
Let's take a look at the Missouri Valley Conference scoreboard. Quite a few teams in action. Youngstown State winning over Valparaiso. First win of the season for Youngstown State. Northern Arizona going down to Missouri State 40-8. And Montana, Western Illinois, that game in the third quarter. Grizz leading that one 21-17. Our Nodak Insurance Company player of the game is Robbie Grimsley, the safety out of Hutchinson. 11 tackles on the day to lead everybody. And a big reason why this guy can get it done, he's put in the right position, and he makes the plays. He is also standing by with Ryan Gellner downstairs.
Hi, guys. Robbie Grimsley does join me now, a senior on this football team. Robbie, the defense today gives up just over 200 yards. You yourself, 11 tackles, player of the game. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Obviously our goal is every week in and week out that we're the best defense in the country, and we're just trying to shut every team down as best we can, and it ended up working out that I was able to make some plays today, but it could be anyone every week.
You're a senior captain on this football team, which is special in its own right, but a game like today where you get a bunch of young kids just getting their ears wet, you got to sit back for a quarter and a half and watch those kids. Your impression?
Oh, it's huge to get those guys reps. I mean, we have a lot of potential, especially in the defensive secondary, in the freshman grade and the redshirt freshman grade. So just to get those guys reps and let them see pictures a little bit and get them out here in front of the crowd and everything, it's huge for their confidence.
You've been doing this for a long time, Robbie, sitting back in that defensive backfield. Are you more of a visual teacher in practice with some of these young guys, or how do you lead by example?
I mean, I try to lead as well as I can, do what I can, and do things right so that they can see it and do it right. And then whenever they have questions or whenever they make mistakes, I try to point it out and help them and give them tips on what they should be doing and how it should be done.
You're off to a 2-0 start, and that's important to get wins when you need to get wins. You're off to 2-0. Your impressions on that?
We take it week by week. I think we weren't jumping ahead to Delaware, SDSU, or anything this week. We were focusing on North Alabama, and we were able to get the job done. So now we'll move on to Delaware and just think about that one.
Appreciate it, Robbie. Congratulations, and keep going.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That is the Nodak Insurance player of the game, Robbie Grimsley, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. And the one thing I can guarantee you're never going to get one of these kids to do is talk about an opponent in the future. As much as you try, they will not do it.
No, the one thing that Robbie did talk about with Ryan that I want to expand on just a little bit, he talked about seeing the picture. And that's a big thing, especially for defensive backs, more so for linebackers. Now, if you're a guy who puts your hand down and you're playing defense, then you're physically just trying to beat blocks. So it's a little bit easier to play earlier in those positions than it is to see and understand and have to know the concept and everything. So seeing the picture is something that the coaches talk about a lot. Coach Klanderman says Robbie's one of the best in the country that there is at that. And so that he understands that he's helping the young kids also try to understand it.
Now, one of those guys are going to have to take his place coming up next year as well. Coming up next for us as we get Delaware coming up on Saturday. That should be a fun game. The Blue Hens, certainly some tradition and history. Played in the national championship game way back in 2010 against Eastern Washington. Stumbled a little bit out of the gate, losing at home to Rhode Island.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
It was.
But Rhode Island did fairly well again today against a FBS team.
That's exactly right. And again, homecoming next week, so it's a 1 p.m. kickoff, pregame at noon instead of our normal 2:30 kickoff time with the 1:30 pregame. And they always want to have the homecoming game up sooner because they have the Bitters Bowl and some events afterwards for homecoming. So make sure you join us earlier coming up next week. Schedule coming up for North Dakota State. Again, they don't look ahead. We get to do that because that's part of the fun for us. But South Dakota State, Northern Iowa, how about that to start Valley play? That's as good as it gets right there.
There is no easing into the conference. When the Jackrabbits are coming here and then the back-to-back road trips, you have to go down to UNI, which is traditionally a tough place for the Bison to play, and then the worst road trip in terms of just trying to physically get to where you need to go and to be at what time you need to be there. And Western is also a late kickoff as well, a 6 o'clock start. So the Bison do not get to ease into the Valley Conference at all. But that home game against the Jackrabbits, I know the Blue Hens are coming in, but that one is in the back of my mind. That's a circle it on your calendar game for everybody who gets to watch, and that's how the Bison will have to start the Valley.
That also makes it so fun when you look at the schedule down the road. LT and I, Ryan, Beth, Alex will be with you for the next 7 weeks until the Missouri State game, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, which we will not carry, but we'll be back with you on November 17th for the finale against Southern Illinois. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the KVOI KFYR Bison Television Network. It was a lot of fun. We got a lot more in store for you coming up this season, so be sure to join us starting at noon next week. For Ryan Gellner, Lee Timmerman, Beth Hool, Alex Egan, and our entire production crew, I'm Brian Shawn saying so long from the Fargo Dome. North Dakota State moves to 2-0 with a 38-7 victory. Have a great Saturday night, everybody.